You want to go after the channels that are the most effective and easiest to implement. For example, one of my favorite approaches is SEO, but SEO is very hard to do. So you may want to start with things like email before SEO. All right, so today we're going to be breaking down how to win the omni-channel race, and we're going to break down the future of digital marketing. So let's get started. My name is Neil Patel. I'm the co-founder of an ad agency called NP Digital. We have offices all around the world, including Brazil, like in Sao Paulo and Belo. We work with companies of all sizes, have a lot of awards. The reason for me to tell you this isn't to brag. It's more so to tell you that we wouldn't be able to work with these clients, we wouldn't have gotten these awards if the tactics and strategies didn't work. So when I break them down today, just keep in mind, these strategies and tactics are proven and they work. We use them on our own business, and we were able to be the 21st fastest growing company in the United States using omni-channel marketing. So when you think about omni-channel marketing, a lot of people just think about social media. We use social media. We have followers everywhere. But more than just social media, we have a podcast with over 1 million listeners a month. We have a website with millions of listeners or readers a month. We have an email list with around 1.3 million people. This is omni-channel marketing. We're not relying on one channel. So let's talk about the rise of omni-channel marketing. First off, it's like an orchestra. For omni-channel marketing to work, think of it as For omni-channel to work, think of it as a symphony. Much better now. In which everyone has to be playing together and it has to work extremely well. From the conductor to the violinist to the person playing the flute, it all works as one. Most companies don't run omni-channel marketing like an orchestra or symphony. They run each channel independently. And that's when you have upset customers. Instagram is not its own channel. Facebook, it's not its own channel. Google is not its own channel. They need to all be working together. When you have them all work together and you create a congruent experience, you're gonna have happy customers. Here's an interesting stat from Google. 90% of consumers use multiple devices to complete a single task, such as researching a product or making a purchase. That means the majority of people out there are using multiple devices and multiple channels to make a purchase. You gotta learn from Nike. Nike has an amazing experience, whether you're using an app or their website or you're going in person, they're leveraging omni-channel and they're using all these channels to work with each other to create amazing experience. When you do this, you'll find that you're gonna get fewer refunds. The more your channels work together, the happier people are gonna be and your refunds will go down. And this is from Gartner. The big thing that we're seeing companies make a mistake on is they're overestimating the impact of omni-channel and underestimating the complexity. Yes, it can provide a big impact, but it takes a lot of work and these channels have to work together. The first thing you need to understand is your audience and their needs. Look, followers are not your audience. The more followers you have doesn't mean you're gonna succeed. You gotta get the right type of followers. For example, if on my Instagram I talk about lessons my mom taught me that I wish I knew right now, no one would hire me. We work with big brands and enterprises here in Brazil and around the world. Talking about what my mom taught me when I was 5 years old may get a lot of views and followers, but it's not gonna generate a lot of revenue. So to win the right type of audience, you gotta pay attention. And keep in mind, all attention is earned. There's only 24 hours in a day, 1,440 minutes, and 86,000 seconds. You gotta earn that attention. And you're competing not just with your competition, but you're competing with other people out there. You're competing with people sleeping, people eating, people taking time to hang out with their family. These are all areas that you're competing with. So you need to make sure that your marketing is creating time. And here's how we create time at our ad agency, NP Digital. So we help companies get more traffic through marketing. And one thing that we do is we bought a tool for $120,000 years and years ago. We put in around $3 to $5 million into the tool, but the tool teaches people how to get more traffic to their website in less than 60 seconds. You see how that's creating time? I'm providing a tool that gives them the solution quicker. And when we look at that, it's helped us continually get more and more traffic. We kept adding more features to the tool, like showing people their competition and how to get more traffic and what's wrong with their website. And over 5 years, we generated 36 million users. Then we did the same thing again, and keep in mind when I go back here, this tool accounts for 40% of our revenue, comes from the tool. Our customers, 40% of our customers came from the tool because we helped them create time. We did the same thing again with another tool called Answer the Public. We bought it for $8.6 million last February. And what we ended up doing is the same approach. We help companies get more traffic in shorter time. And it ended up generating 18 million users over 5 years. So with omnichannel marketing, it's not just about creating time. You also need to create amazing brand experience across all your channels. One of the ways to do that is through loyalty. Loyalty is a function of memory, and this is a quote from Colin Shaw. And the way you create amazing loyalty is through the peak end rule. When someone first uses your product and when they stop using your product, that is how they remember you. You want to create amazing peaks. If they have bad experiences, you're going to have a terrible peak. So for example, when you want to learn how to ride a bike, you may fall. That creates bad memories. But once someone learns how to ride and their hair goes flowing in the air and they're going fast, that creates amazing memory. And then as they grow up and they get to go to all these different places because they can ride their bike and they don't need their parents, it creates another amazing memory. So when you're following this rule, people have this misconception, especially here in Brazil. We see a lot of companies say, oh, to create an amazing brand and experience and follow the peak end rule, we need to offer discounts. If you have an amazing quality product, you do not need to offer discounts. Look at Apple. Apple sells. A lot of people I know in Brazil have iPhones, even people here in the audience. Why? They don't offer discounts. It's because their products are amazing. When you think about omni-channel marketing, people have changed the way they shop. They're using multiple devices, like what Google stated earlier. But have you changed the way that you sell? People need longer research windows. According to HubSpot, people spend on average 13 days researching before they buy. The way to make this happen is by being omni-channel. You got to leverage email, website, social media, SEO, all the channels, push notifications. So then that way you can educate and help people throughout those 13 days before they end up purchasing. And here's a list of the channels that are the most effective and how hard they are to implement. You want to go after the channels that are the most effective and easiest to implement. For example, one of my favorite approaches is SEO, but SEO is very hard to do. So you may want to start with things like email before SEO. And when you look at your traffic, the way you know you're going to do well in omni-channel is a split of traffic. If you have too much traffic coming from organic, that's bad. If you have too much coming from paid, that's bad. It needs to be a good balance. For branded versus non-branded, it needs to be a good mix. If 50+% of your traffic is coming from branded, that's not good. You're not leveraging omni-channel. No more than 30% of your traffic should be coming from branded terms. We're also seeing a decrease or a delay in spending. According to PwC, they found that 58% of consumers are spending less on non-essential items during this bad economy. And a survey from Nielsen found that 51% of consumers are eating more at home to save money. So in this bad economy, people are delaying purchases. But that doesn't mean that you can't generate sales. You just have to be more creative with your marketing. For example, a lot of supermarkets and retail stores are starting to put coupons on the receipts. It's a great way to generate sales and get people to come back and buy from you again. We're also seeing a shift on how people are buying. A lot of people have found a product in a physical store and then bought online, or found a product on a website but then went in person to buy. In essence, there's a huge shift to omni shopping, not just omni-channel, but omni shopping. People may buy from social media, they may buy from your website, they may buy from your retail store, they may buy from Amazon. The list is never ending. But one way to generate a lot of sales right now that a lot of people aren't using, but this is super effective around the world and especially here in Brazil, is going live. Going live to promote a product or service works really well, especially if you offer discounts. We're seeing shoppable live streams can increase conversion rates by up to 20% according to BigCommerce. Right now, in this landscape, there's a pivot. People are going from spontaneous purchases to intentional shopping, to choosing a channel, to wanting companies to be the channel, to being loyal to brands, to more so being loyal to the experience. If you don't create an amazing experience, you're gonna lose. So let's talk about some lessons that you can learn from some of the top omni-channel companies out there. Disney. When you look at Disney, they create a seamless experience. From the app that you have when you go to Disneyland or Disney World, to the website, to their social platforms. They're personalizing everything to you. Even the experience they're creating when they're creating those movies, whether it's the Marvel movie to the rides that they're creating at their theme parks that are Marvel related. Bank of America is a bank within the United States. They're using omni-channel to figure out where people are getting stuck and what new product offerings and services to offer them to create a better experience. This is an amazing experience that they've done over time, which has helped them continually grow as a company. I think they're worth now $200-300 billion. Timberland is a retail company. This one's really interesting. So when you go to a store right now, sometimes you have to ask someone for help. Timberland is using near-field technology to figure out how they can help you in the store so you no longer have to ask people questions. And Sephora. Sephora is a makeup company. They have retail stores throughout the United States, and what they're doing is using omni-channel to tie in online visits to in-store purchases to create that congruent experience. So let's talk about some quick omni-channel tricks. The first is YouTube. YouTube is the second most popular search engine behind Google. Funny enough, YouTube is also owned by Google, so they own the most popular search engine and the second most popular search engine. The way you do well on YouTube is in the first 24 hours of a video going live, you email it out, you promote it, you tell all your friends about it. A video that does well in the first 24 hours on YouTube will rank high, get more traffic, and get more suggested. It's the opposite of most social platforms and search algorithms. YouTube is all about the first 24 hours, and if you do well in the first 24 hours, you'll do well even 3, 4, 6 months later down the road. Then we have LinkedIn. According to Omnicore Agency, less than 1% of LinkedIn users create and share content, but creating content on LinkedIn isn't enough. What you need to do if you want to do well with LinkedIn is you got to create engaging comments. So if your content isn't encouraging others to create comments, you're not going to do well. These comments can't be yes or no. They can't be I agree or I disagree. The comments have to add to the conversation. If the comments create more comments and other people engaging, that's how you go viral on LinkedIn. The key is to get people to leave comments within the first 4 hours of your LinkedIn post going live. Now with Google, Google cares about brands. They know that brands are less likely to create fake news and fake information. So the way you create a brand is you can create tools, okay? So just like on our website, we had that marketing tool called Uber Suggest, another one called Answer the Public. You can create these tools on sites like Code Canyon and buy them for $10, $20, $30, or you can use ChatGPT to create tools. ChatGPT created the video game Pong in less than 60 seconds, and I'll show you that in a bit. When you create free tools and you give them away, it'll cause more people to continually come back to your website, and you'll build a more loyal brand. You also want to build a community. People need a sense of belonging. We love community. Just look at in Brazil. One of your biggest communities is a soccer community or football community. Look at how many people in Brazil love Neymar. I was here for the World Cup. When the World Cup happens in Brazil, everything shuts down. No one is in work. Everyone's at a bar drinking some alcohol and watching Neymar try to score a goal. That's a sense of community. You want to do this through email lists. And what we do is you give away free tools, and then when people use your tools, you can then ask them for their email address in exchange to keep using your tool for free. And when I mention sites like Code Canyon or ChatGPT, there's tools on these sites for every industry, whether you're in real estate or automotive or fitness or B2B or B2C, it doesn't matter. They have tools for you. Look, omnichannel is no longer a buzzword, it's a necessity. Now it's your turn to leverage omnichannel marketing. My last word of advice to you guys is, if you want to use omnichannel marketing and do it successfully, you cannot just hire one person to say, hey, you're in charge of Instagram, and this other person is in charge of Facebook, and this other person is in charge of SEO, and this other person is in charge of email. They need to work together as a team. The learnings you get from Instagram, you need to adapt them to Facebook and SEO and your podcast. The learnings you get from your paid ads, you need to adopt it to TikTok and Instagram and other social platforms and even SEO. If all your channels are working together, you're doing promotions with all your channels together, you're going to create a much better experience. You'll get more sales and you'll get less refunds. There was a company that we work with called Expedia. And Expedia has a company in Brazil and Latin America called Trivago. Have you heard of Trivago? And they did this study and they found that when they did omni-channel marketing, even though people already knew the brand and they leveraged radio and TV and social media and SEO, they got more than 10% more conversions. That's the power of omni-channel marketing.